Okay. All right.
Recording in progress.
Here we
Right.
are. It's a Zoom call. It's Alexander Lawrence from the Portable Infinite. And we're talking to Reggie Watts today. Let's see. Reggie Watts is an internationally renowned musician, comedian, writer who starred for 8 years as a band leader at CBS, The Late Late Show with James Corden, using nothing but his voice, his looping pedals, and his vast imagination. Watts blurs the line between music and comedy. And he has the book here. I've read it 2 times, and
Oh, wow.
it's on my top 20 list of books of the year. So definitely check it out. And where do they go get this book? At Amazon or
Yeah, Amazon or a local bookstore, even
yeah, or
better.
the independent? What do you like? Powell's,
Yeah,
Green
yeah,
Apple,
yeah. Pal's Green Apple stories. Yeah,
Stories. Go down. They have you right in the front there at Stories.
yeah. I actually had. I wonder if they are carrying it there because I found only when I went to what's the bookstore that's next to that's on it's in Los Feliz.
Oh, Skylight.
Skylight, yeah, Skylight. They only had one copy of it, and it was like super hidden. So I was like, oh, okay, well maybe not all the stores do have them, but if you are gonna get them, go to a local bookstore.
So yeah, I became aware of Reggie Watts in 2008. I was up there in Portland for Music Fest Northwest, and I was waiting around. I was over at Arlene Schnitzler Hall, and
Oh yeah,
I wanted to see Anthony and the Johnsons, and then I looked and there was Jacques Servan from the Yes Men, and I thought he was going to Anthony, but I just ran into him. I go, "Hey, what are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, you need a ticket." He thought I was talking. He thought I was talking about the Reggie Watts show, which was across the street, and you were doing was it a residency at the Portland ICA thing, or was it just a one-off show?
I'm trying to remember. I think if it was just me doing a solo show, it would have been a one-off
Oh,
thing for
okay.
sure.
Well, you did a lot of stuff at Portland ICA.
Yeah.
So so I went to see about half of the show, and then I went over to see Anthony and William Basinski across the street. So I got to see both, but it was good. I've known Jock for like 30 years, and you told me that you knew one of the Yes Men. You've been kind of familiar with those guys for a while.
Yeah, yeah, Bonanno, Mike Bonanno. Yeah, he I've known it. Well, I've known both of them, but Mike I've communicated with him more.
Yeah. Okay. So that was the first time, and I when I saw that show, I immediately kind of wrote kind of a letter to somebody, kind of in a Reggie Watt style. I kind of see your the style at the time is kind of like this extended metaphor, or just these metaphors with just that didn't make any sense. Kind of do you see that as your kind of your
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right.
and then and then I saw you at Outside Lands. I was over in the press tent, and you came on with 4 guys. I mean, this one they didn't have a comedy thing, but after over the years, I went to about 7 or 8 of the Outside Lands, and we'd be sitting in the press tent. And you came in there, and it's like, oh, here's Reggie Watts again. I don't know what was that about. You kind of came in and did a little seminar or something with the people that were there.
Oh, yeah, probably something to do with like improvisation or something like
Okay,
that.
so they did a little, yeah, kind of little thing. You've been to Outside Lands a few times then now.
Yeah, I think I know for sure I performed twice. Once in the comedy, I think they had a Spiegel tent, and I did it there for that, and then the other time was filling in for Mark Rebier when he hurt himself, and needed a sub. So, but I have a feeling it might have done one other time as well.
Okay. And then like right before the COVID shutdown, I because I go to the Natural History Museum all the time. So I saw Wahata like did like the right before COVID, before they shut down the doors, you did a performance there at the Natural History Museum. And that was and then I saw Thundercat, and then it was there were the gigs that stopped like right there. Like you remember that Wahata
Yeah.
with the Natural History Museum?
Yeah, oh yeah, that was like the last. That was a lot of people's last show that they saw.
Yeah, it was kind of weird because like we were aware of like the COVID and like the possibility of restrictions, and like, and it was kind of weird, like, you know, you didn't want to get too close to anybody, and it was like, oh,
Oh,
and
strange.
we're trying to watch the Wahada, but this
I'll
band,
say again.
this
Oh,
band,
you're frozen. Got it.
oh, I got frozen. Oh, well, this band, you just put out a single or an EP with the Again and Again. What's going on with
Yeah,
Wahada?
yeah, yeah. I mean, we've just recently released a single, or sorry, an EP, a 4-song EP, maybe a couple months ago.
Okay.
Get Down, I think, or I think it's like Get Down, something like that. But yeah, and yeah, we're still doing stuff, making stuff. It's a very ongoing, kind of nebulous, freeform, creative project.
Yeah. And you're gonna tour soon with that band?
I hope so. We have something coming up in December for NPR or for KCRW. So that I'm not sure, but uh, yeah, that's the only thing I know. But I definitely want to do more shows, and we don't have anything planned right now. But because he's got other projects, like we're Wahada's kind of like a side project for us, and so we do it when we have the time. But I definitely love performing with him because he's a genius.
You're gonna bring back that Nipper song like that you did on the Tiny Desk show?
Oh, Nipper.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I mean, I would love to do Tiny Desk again, but I guess you can only do those once, supposedly. So I don't know what's going on with that.
And like Maktub, I mean, this is like a band. I thought I listened to this. I wasn't really aware of the band, and then I listened to them a few years ago and played them on my radio show, and it was like, oh, these guys are really good. But it just, I guess you guys, it was just timing. Like people, you came out in the late '90s, and just you were kind of like really big in Seattle, and then nobody else like even bothered to listen because
Yes,
they were
that's
too much.
correct.
They were too much into Corn or Limp
Papa
Bizkit.
Roach. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you had to be like a certain kind of. You had to bring it heavy or not at all, or for most
yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah. They're
So
like, that's not music.
what was Maktub? What was the conceit there? What was going on there?
Um, I mean, yeah, Maktub was like I mean, we started in the mid 90s or 96, 97, something like that. And we had some really good regional success. And I think we had a lot of close calls. There were the people would fly in to come see us. Jimmy Iovine flew in to see us once, and um, the biggest execs in the music industry came and saw us. But I think the band was just we were trying to do too many things at once. Like we were into heavy stuff, but we were really into soul, and we were into electronic music, like drum and bass, and the whole electronic trip hop thing. So we oscillated where we weaved those things together, but I think that it just didn't quite, it wasn't the right mixture of things that made people want to go further with us. So yeah, so we were kind of limited in that way.
And so I see you had a lot of these shows. I mean, you in the audience, and then because I saw you at the OCs, I saw you at Thrill Kill Cult. You opened up a whole tour for Nation of Language. They're like the number one band in England right now, or something like. They're really super popular.
Yeah.
Like so, yeah. What was my question? I was gonna say, well, I see you in LA a lot because you go to shows. And did you move to LA because of the James Corden show, or like that was you've been here kind of 8 years for that?
Yeah, I moved just specifically for that show. They yeah, asked me to be a part of that show, I think in the end of 2013.
So, I mean, you said somewhere else that you wrote this book here. You wrote it during the pandemic. That's when you kind of sat down and like kind of got
Hmm.
together. Like, when did you start writing this book?
Yeah, it was basically the beginning of the pandemic. Yeah, it happened like during the pandemic. It was really crazy. Um, but yeah, so it was like most of the pandemic was writing that book.
Well, like there's a lot of books about Montana, but they're kind of written in kind of like a John Steinbeck or a Ernest Hemingway way. Like there's a famous one that was made into a movie, The River Runs Through This. I guess it's more about
Oh, a river runs through it. Yeah.
it's more like about West Montana and stuff. So uh,
Yeah.
and then there's another one called Montana 48, but it's more kind of like romantic. It's kind of like John Steinbeck, kind of like Cannery Row taken over to Montana and put over there, like and this book, I mean, is a memoir, but I kind of consider it more like an origin story because like your background's just so weird. I mean, that needs to be written about in a way, just because so you don't have to explain to everybody, oh yeah, I was born in Germany and I grew up in Montana, and I've been to Montana. It's like hardly anybody lives there for one thing. It's like it's very spacious. It's like a lot of landscapes, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's it's definitely got an attitude, or there's a, I don't know, there's a character to Montana itself, and uh, it was good to write about how that was a part of me, how Western, whole idea of the Western, uh, just like the Western element, like the true Western movement, like the move to the West and the explorers that came through there, Lewis and Clark, and the native tribes on the land, and the nature and the beauty and all of those things, and kind of rugged individualism and all of those attitudes. I really, I don't know, resonated with that. But also simultaneously resonated with big city life as well. So it's a good home base to come from into the rest of the world.
Well, I've been a tour manager for a lot of bands, and we usually, usually play in Seattle, and then you do the 3-day drive to like Iowa or Chicago or whatever. And you can, most of the time you're kind of in Montana. Very few bands play there unless they're like really super popular already. A lot of the indie bands that
Sure.
we go see and love, like hardly play there. Even make a stop. Yeah, but like, yeah, this book, like I said, it's kind of an origin tale. Like a lot of people say, the old saying is like everybody has a book to write or something, but I kind of discourage that sometimes because, but I kind of consider you more like some of the Scottish writers I read, like in the '90s, like Irving Welsh and Duncan MacLean, who kind of wrote about their little town in Scotland that no one's ever been to. So a lot of people haven't been to, besides me, have been up there to Montana and know what it's like. And one of my best friends I went to high school with, like, was living up there in some Fisher town for a while and stuff. It's like it's really it's real isolated. It's probably the most isolated part of, I've been in most of the states, and it's like seems like the most isolated you can be in America there.
I mean, it can be, yeah. It depends on the city, but I mean, yeah, there is a certain amount of isolation in all of the interior aspects of the United States, and especially what I call the true West. So I would say like North Dakota to an extent, at least the western side of North Dakota and South Dakota and Montana and Wyoming and Idaho are kind of very western states, and there's a similarity. You can talk to anybody growing up there, that's creative or an artist, and it's a very similar story of being in a very small town. Even though my town was 65,000 people, it's still pretty small for a city, and it's still very remote. Like you drive 15 minutes either direction, any direction out of Great Falls, and you're out of it. So and then you're just out on the open road, and there's like tons of wheat fields and small farm communities, and that's until your next stop. So there's that isolationism is definitely a part of it, but that's also part of the Western experience. Like when you read Western authors and things like that, and their experiences of like Charles Marion Russell and his diaries, and talking about being on the range and helping cowpokes and all of that stuff. And you're very much in your head doing your own math all the time.
Yeah. Well, in this book, also the typography seems to be like its own character and stuff. I mean, you kind of go from one chapter, and then there's one chapter about the emotional typewriter, and then it goes back. It switches back. There'll be like these kind of kind of like sections that where you're kind of like talking directly to the audience, and then you go back to the main narrative and stuff. And so the typography is it's kind of loose. It's all, it has a shape, and it's almost like its own character. Like, how did you do that? What was up with that? What was going on there?
Well, I just wanted to do something that was kind of evocative of the shows that I put on. And because when I do my solo stuff, it definitely, it's kind of a stream of consciousness. It goes all over the place, but I love that feeling of meandering and, catching on to different ideas that are kind of disparately floating around. And so I thought, in a book format, why not do that a little bit? And also it pays homage to like Ferris Bueller, and breaking the fourth wall in that particular show, or some of the randomness of like my, Weird Al and UHF, and plenty of examples definitely in the 80s for some weird stuff, or Better Off Dead, the John Cusack movie. There's and the interactivity, like the QR codes and things like that. I was really excited about doing that, because I thought, what a cool way to reach out beyond the book,
How
while you're reading.
how you, in the book, you kind of talk about how you started beatboxing kind of like spontaneously, and that kind of won you some friends somehow. And how long have you been doing the beatboxing and looping and all that stuff?
Well, beatbox stuff, probably since I was, I don't know, 10 or 11. And looping I didn't really start getting into looping until I got my first loop pedal, which probably wouldn't have been until I was 26 or 27. So that's when that started.
Yeah, what do you think of this guy, Michael Winslow? He was in like the Police Academy films. I mean, he's like almost like one of the first. I think he was in some Cheech and Chong films, and he's like one of the first beatboxers, or just like, and he's also from the Pacific Northwest too.
Yeah, we actually played a show together in San Francisco at the Independent.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah, he's amazing. He was a huge mentor, like growing up, the Police Academy movies had a huge influence on me, because that was the first time I saw someone using their voice in a way, that was like, here's a guy that was imitating machines, and like the stuff that you would, when you were a kid and you would play around and you'd make laser blast sounds and, whatever sounds you would make when you were playing. This guy continued doing that into his adulthood, but kind of perfected it. And yeah, and in Police Academy, it just blew me away. I was like, wow, someone can actually do that. They can actually have like this superpower. And yeah, so he was massive influence.
Also in the book, it's like your group of friends. It like has a soundtrack to it. It's like when you think of the people in the book, it's like you think of certain songs, like, and you can just go back. And is it hard for you to like hear certain songs and then you think, oh, that's that guy, that's so and so?
Yeah, yeah. It's, yeah, there's definitely, well, like I hear music, it just reminds me of that time in general. There's not necessarily, I guess certain songs like Jumping Someone Else's Train by The Cure does remind me of Mike Benton, because he always said that that was his song, because he was like, a lover boy, and he was always with different girls and all the time. And so for him, always jumping someone else's train was a
Mhm.
poignant message that described him very well.
Okay, I'm gonna try to ask you a question. Like this is
Okay.
this is like a psychic question. I'm gonna think the question and then you're gonna answer it. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. No, it didn't really have that big of an effect on me, but I definitely, I thought about it a lot. I wasn't like someone that would accept those types of circumstances like immediately. So, but I'm also someone who's into like trying new stuff. So for me, yeah, I guess it was, I guess I don't mind experimentation.
Great. And I was always wondering about that. Okay, so part two
Yeah.
of this question, I'm going to think of a character in this book, or a name of a place, and then I've written it down here previously. So I'll try to think about it, and you try to guess which one I'm thinking of.
So it's a person or a place in the
Person or
book?
a place, yeah. Okay, can you let's see if it
Uh-huh.
what do you it's a
Uh,
character in this book.
Joanne.
Is that let's see, okay, let's see what I okay, so I wrote down beef.
Oh, the beef.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, I should
pretty
have
close,
gone there. That
pretty
that
close,
was
pretty close.
I was just talking about it. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, maybe because you were talking about that ruined the site.
Yeah,
I mean, the Russians have paid like many, they try to get telekinesis going, and there's
I know.
for
I
20
know.
years. So let me
I know.
flash a few 12-inch singles here. I have a big record collection, as you can see back here, and
Yeah.
let me flash a couple records and see if if they resonate with you. So we got the Message by Grandmaster
Oh,
Flash.
oh yeah.
What did you think of when this record came out?
Um, well, I mean, that was like a huge, that was I mean, Grandmaster Flash was like one of the originals, to break through, and that I even heard about him. Well, I guess I heard about him in Cleveland, Ohio, when I would go to visit my grandparents. So I heard most like Doug, Dougie Fresh, and or whatever, all the rappers that were big, the Fat Boys at the time. And I heard most of that there because MTV wasn't really getting into rap, and I mean they were kind of a little bit later to the game when it came to promoting that stuff. So probably around when I was 11 or something like that.
And okay, here's Sisters of Mercy, first single
Oh,
out.
oh yeah.
So did you hear this early on?
Yeah, what song is on there?
Uh,
Oh, Floor Show Alice. Man, I don't know if I know that one. I know Bird on a Razor Wire.
oh, okay.
That was the first album for me.
Okay, so next we have Bauhaus Shoes and Parties. You were kind of a goth
Yeah.
in the book. So and you live in LA, you must have run into one of these guys in LA at some point.
I haven't. I know. I think it's the drummer's daughter.
Okay, that's close enough.
Yeah, she's in
Automatic.
Automatic, and
Yeah.
so like that I guess is close.
So and then I have the single of all singles, you can't
Oh wow,
Blue Monday with the
man. I
original
love that
cast.
it's a 5-inch flop. It's a 5-inch floppy disk. That's
Yeah,
so cool.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, kind of blown. But what did you think? What do you think of this record? It was kind of made as kind of a anti-single sort of in a way, but it was
Yeah.
people
No,
like
it was. I mean, it was awesome. I mean I mean, anything the order was hyper. I mean, didn't really matter. I mean, well, I mean, Substance, obviously that was like the one that was the record, but like Blue Monday, all that stuff was just, I don't know, whatever they did, like they just blew my mind open, because when I heard them, it just changed everything. It was like, wow, what is happening right now? This is
so,
amazing.
so this is the book. Get it at your independent store here. It's one of the top portable infinite books of the year. And Reggie, you have like an app or something. Is that still going on or?
No, I mean, kind of, but not really. I just spent a lot of money on an app, and it didn't really do anything, but it was a good lesson. It was good to
So
be a part of it.
if people want to contact with you, they should go to your Instagram, or do you have a website?
Yeah, on Twitter it's Reggie Watts, at Reggie Watts, and Instagram is at Reggie Watts, and think um I think TikTok it's at Reggie Watts. It's at Reggie Watts most social sites.
Are you going to any more books, or is there going to be a TV show for this?
That's what I'm hoping. I mean, that would be cool. Probably not,
Would,
but
would,
I'm gonna
would,
try.
would you write another book or some poetry or something? Or
I would love to write another book. I think I would write a book. The next book would just be about Seattle, kind of detail my life in Seattle, and then if that did well, I'd do New York and then LA.
what's next? Are you're doing a show in Florida in like next week, or what do you what's
Yeah, I'm doing at Art Basel. I'm doing a show at a place called Gramps, and I think that's my last like kind of announced gig for the year. I believe that that's true. And then I have what's the next big thing? I guess, yeah, I guess that's it. I'm filming a comedy special for Veeps, the
Okay.
company Veeps, and I'm going to be doing that in March. So I think it would be released maybe in the summer.
Okay, so check it out. Like everybody should buy like 3 copies, get it for your
Yeah,
parents and your friends. Chris, it's a good Christmas present here. And
yeah,
this is like I didn't want to give too it has like these barcodes you can kind of
yeah. Little QR codes
yeah, what's
and
that
pictures.
what goes on there?
There's music. There's like old school music. There's like some soundtrack stuff, a commercial that I made.
Let's see. Let's see. What much time we have? Okay, we got a few minutes here. Let's see. Yeah, there was something. I mean, there was that one quote. I think. Let's see if I can find it. Oh yeah, here it is. It says here. It says, because nothing feels more important than every single thing you do when you're in high school. What was that about? Is that like you kind of feel like you're doing like a reality TV show or something? What's going on there in that line?
Well, I mean, it's just in high school, everything you do, it just seems to all be, bigger than you think it is. And, or I mean, I guess it is as big as it feels to you, but like, yeah, every decision you make in high school feels pretty heavy. Like it could be make or break, your hopes are dashed, or, you have like huge expectations. So it's really just about that. Just like when you're that age in that situation can be you're very mindful of every decision you're making.
Okay, well, let's see. One last question. Well, you seem to talk a lot about ketamine. I mean, I met Terrence McKenna. I met Timothy Leary. Allen Ginsberg. He smoked a lot of weed. I don't know if he was much of a psychedelic guy, but you seem like ketamine. You're like the ketamine poster boy now, or in a way. What's going on there?
Yeah, I mean, I yeah, I mean, I just kind of, stumbled into it, and I'm really enjoying its effects and its abilities. And what I'm learning on it is very, very cool. And I just love the experiences that I have when I'm on it. And it just feels like a good zone to be in, right now in my life, and studying it and trying it in different ways. So it's
Okay.
pretty cool.
Okay. Well, thanks for talking to me today. I really enjoyed our little chat here, and
Yeah, me too.
and I'll definitely get another book for my mom. Before
Yeah.
and look forward to seeing you at the next show. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Take
That's
care.
good to see you too. Bye,
Let's see.
Alexander.
Okay. Let's see.